We have one last operation to concern ourselves with regarding complex numbers, and that is how to divide two complex numbers. Again, we're going to call back to a skill from earlier in this module, and we're going to use the conjugate in order to divide these complex numbers. So just like we had the rule of no radicals in the denominator, because I is a representation for a radical, granted it's the square root of -1, because it's a representation for a radical, we need to eliminate the I out of the denominator. Fortunately for us, it does not require the learning of a new skill, just a different application of a skill we already have, multiplying by the conjugate. So remember, this fraction actually has a value of 1. The numerator and denominator are identical. So multiplying by this fraction does not actually change the value of the original expression. The top and the bottom will both require use of the distributive property. You can write out those individual steps, but I'm going to skip right to the multiplying. So we have 42 plus 12i minus 21i minus 6i squared. Now I'm going to hold off on the simplifying of that for just a minute. I want to get everybody multiplied out. 49 plus 14i minus 14i minus 4i squared. You'll see here that these two terms will simplify in the middle there. That's the entire point of this exercise. We'll see here that we can do some combining. And then we remember that I squared is equal to -1. So knowing that that's -1 allows us to take the simplification a step further. In the numerator, we're left with the 42 minus 9i and plus 6, which comes from the -6 times the -1. In the denominator, we're left with 49 plus 4, which comes from the -4 times the -1. Combining the 42 and the 6, we get 48 minus 9i, and then 49 plus 4 is 53. And there's our final form. Now, that's a little bit different. We want to think about this maybe a little bit differently than we thought about the radical simplifications that we did with the conjugate. Because we want to see that clear distinction between the real part and the imaginary part, it makes sense to separate the division into two separate fractions. Therefore, we can easily see the real part, and we can easily see the imaginary part.